Qwen 3.6-27B is Alibaba's argument that dense models are back in the coding race. The launch claim is flagship-level coding in a 27 billion parameter open-weight model with multimodal reasoning, thinking modes, and an Apache 2 license. The real pitch is practical scale. Qwen is saying you should be able to get serious coding behavior without jumping straight to a giant mixture of experts stack. This review is grounded in the actual source pack, not reposted hype. The X post itself is just one benchmark image plus links. The proof comes from the official launch blog, the Hugging Face model card, the GitHub repo, the Qwen Code docs, and Qwen Studio. In other words, the tweet is the teaser. The real product story lives in the documents, model card details, and repo surfaces that shipped with the release. The release lives or dies on coding numbers, and Qwen makes those numbers the headline. On the official material, Qwen 3.6-27B posts 77.2 on SWE-bench Verified, 53.5 on SWE-bench Pro, 59.3 on Terminal Bench 2.0, and 48.2 on SkillsBench. The interesting part is not just the scores. It is that Qwen is presenting them as dense model scores, not a giant routed model flex. The real flex here is practical scale. Qwen is framing dense deployment as a feature, not a compromise. The 27B dense model fills the slot for people who want strong coding performance without the routing complexity and serving overhead of a much larger mixture of experts system. That is why the launch keeps returning to straightforward deployment, open weights, and the idea that serious coding agent behavior should be attainable without a giant model stack. This is not being pitched as a text-only coding model. The model card adds the practical detail layer, a vision encoder, a default context length of 262,144 tokens, support for image and video input, and thinking preservation for longer workflows. The official sample clip on the model card is about archaeology, not coding. So it works here as proof of video input support, but not as proof of the coding workflow itself. Qwen ships 3 practical entry points. First, Qwen Studio is the fastest way to try it. Second, Alibaba Cloud Model Studio gives you the API path with compatible request formats. Third, Hugging Face and Model Scope give you the open weights path for self-hosting. The official examples also make an important point for agent work. They use OpenAI-compatible request shapes, and they explicitly recommend preserved thinking when you need multi-step coding or iterative agent behavior. One of the strongest signals in this release is who gets named. The official materials explicitly mention OpenClaw, Qwen Code, Claude Code, and Qwen Agent. That is unusual. Most model launches stop at benchmarks and weights. This one goes further and points at real coding agent surfaces and workflows. The repo, product pages, and setup examples make the positioning feel concrete. Qwen is telling developers that this model belongs inside practical coding stacks, not just benchmark charts. The clean read is simple. Qwen 3.6-27B lands as a practical coding model release. It combines dense 27 billion scale, open weights, long context, multimodal input, and explicit coding agent integrations into one coherent package. The benchmark story is strong, but the bigger point is usability. This feels designed to be tried, called through an API, self-hosted, and dropped into real coding workflows right away.